They talk, they scream, they provoke, and every time they expect you to bite, to react, to lose control, because that's what most people do. But what if you didn't? What if silence wasn't weakness, but strategy? We live in a world where noise equals importance, where people confuse loud with right, where reaction is rewarded and stillness mistaken for fear. But the Stoic? He knew better. He knew that silence wasn't the absence of power. It was power, controlled, cold, unshaken. You want to win? Not just in arguments, but in life? Then say less. Watch more. Hold your fire until you choose to use it, because every time you react, you hand over control, and the one who controls less loses more. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's not passivity, that's war, fought in restraint. In a loud world, silence is rebellion. They want a reaction because reactions are easy to manipulate. Once they pull you into their emotional chaos, they own the tempo. You're no longer thinking, you're defending, explaining, justifying, bleeding energy for nothing. But the Stoic doesn't explain, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't join the circus just because he's handed a ticket. He watches, he listens, he measures, because silence isn't emptiness, it's preparation, it's patience wrapped in discipline. The space between stimulus and response, that's where the Stoic lives. And here's what most people don't understand. You don't always owe people your opinion. You don't owe them your defense. You don't owe them your fire. Silence isn't cowardice. It's choosing your battles like a tactician, not a slave to impulse. Your ego wants to clap back. Your pride wants to speak. But your discipline, it wants you to master that moment by doing nothing at all. And if you've made it this far, you're not like most people. If you value this kind of mindset and want to sharpen that inner blade while the world keeps screaming, hit subscribe and ring the bell. No hype, no begging, just content that makes you sharper, not softer. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all, just presence, just posture, just you, standing so still they can't tell if you're planning or done, because the loudest man in the room is often the weakest. He needs noise to feel seen. He needs reaction to feel real. But you train for the opposite. You train to not react when disrespected. You train to let the insult die in the air without ever touching your skin. You train to see past the words and into the weakness behind them. Not everything needs your energy. In fact, most things don't. When you respond to everything, you become predictable, easy to provoke. But when your silence is intentional, it becomes terrifying. It becomes presence, and presence, real presence, is rare. Rare enough to make people uncomfortable. That's good. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them fill the silence with their own fear, because the Stoic doesn't fill space to comfort others. He holds space to command it. He doesn't shrink himself for approval. He sharpens himself for reality. So stop treating silence like a gap. Start treating it like a weapon. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to sit with their own noise. It turns the spotlight inward. It strips away performance. It demands presence. And that's exactly why the Stoic uses it. Not to hide, but to expose. Not to escape, but to endure. You'll be tempted to speak, to clap back, to defend your name. But before you do, ask yourself, do I need to win the moment or master the game? Because most arguments aren't battles. They're distractions designed to drain your clarity, to bait your emotion, to keep you locked in a cycle of reaction instead of evolution. And the Stoic? He doesn't play that game. He doesn't need to be loud to be heard. He doesn't need validation to feel steady. He knows that the world doesn't reward noise. It rewards results. Quiet, consistent, undeniable results. Let your silence earn what noise never could. Respect without asking, power without shouting, dominance without chaos. You don't need to raise your voice when your presence says everything. There's a shift that happens when you stop speaking to prove and start acting with purpose. Suddenly, the noise around you feels weaker. The opinions, the gossip, the criticism, all of it fades, not because it stopped, but because you stopped giving it power. That's the edge of the Stoic. He doesn't control the world. He controls what enters him. He becomes a filter, not a sponge. So when someone tests him, he doesn't react to protect his ego. He stays silent to protect his energy. Because once you realize how expensive your energy is, you stop giving discounts. And the people who used to get a rise out of you, now they don't even get a blink. That's what they hate the most. They hate that you stopped dancing, that your emotions no longer sit in their pocket, that your fire isn't available on demand. But you've learned, not everything deserves a response. Some things just deserve to be outlived. And silence, it's not just the response, it is the answer. Say nothing, and let them hear everything in your silence. Let them wonder why you didn't answer. Let them wrestle with their own noise. Let your discipline speak the language their chaos can't understand. Because calm isn't just a mood, it's a message, a reminder that not all storms deserve your thunder. You weren't built to bark back at every threat. You were built to walk through fire without making a sound. That's what makes silence powerful. It doesn't beg, it doesn't perform, it doesn't ask for attention, it simply is. And when the world finally realizes it can't move you, it will have no choice but to respect you. Stay quiet, stay sharp, stay sovereign. And if you're ready to make silence your strength, you know what to do.